Welcome back to Optimal Play. I'm Brandon.
I'm Steven.
And Steven, happy holidays.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, we're all decked out. We're recording this just about a week before Christmas, full well knowing that this is not going to go up on YouTube until somewhat into 2022. But I hope you had a great holiday season, and I hope you are too, Steven.
Yeah, I hope you got everything on your Christmas list. And actually, February might be when your presents are arriving, so, you know.
That's true. Well, you know, it did finally arrive. The Edge of the Earth Investigator expansion.
Yeah, we reviewed them fake last time.
Yeah.
Now we actually have them.
Yeah, the last few videos we were compromising everything we believed in and doing it off of iPad and laptop screens. But no more. We've got the cards in hand, and we're here to talk Seeker.
Yeah.
I know, so these are generally our first impressions of these cards. I think both of us have played some at this point because of just the scheduling and everything has been so weird. But Seeker has really been my blind spot. I don't think I've seen these hardly at all. Have you?
Yeah, I think some of these will be a bit of a surprise. I definitely haven't played with them, but I might have taken a look at some of them as I was thinking about decks.
Okay. So I'm eager to see what we have in store, and I'm especially excited because for the first time ever, we're going to get the unidentified and identified versions of a Seeker card all at once, right?
Second time, because Harvey also, you got
Oh,
that.
Harvey did that too. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay. It's just always been one of my big gripes with
Yeah.
the monthly release structure for this game, and so I'm excited for that. But I think we'll save that for last. What's first?
First is Forced Learning. This is the permanent limit 1 per deck purchase a deck creation card that we've been seeing with the other classes.
Right. Do you have so on our Twitch stream, Case suggested that we call those fundamental cards, or do you have any? They don't have a share. There's not a consistent trait between them. I don't think. Any ideas for nicknames for those, or anything you've heard?
I haven't heard anything. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Give us your best nicknames for these purchase at deck creation cards in the comments, because we can't just keep calling them purchase at deck creation cards. There's got to be a better way.
They're like, this isn't really catching up, but they're like double-edged sword cards. Like they're...
Okay, yeah. Double-edged sword, I'm almost surprised that's not just the name of a card already.
Yeah.
Feels like something that would be the name of an Arkham card. Anyway, Forced Learning.
Forced Learning is increase your deck size by 15. Oh, that's great. There's more jank you can fit in your deck.
Hooray!
During each upkeep phase, instead of drawing one card, draw 2 cards and discard one of them. So bigger deck with more filter.
Right. I think I love it. a big... So it's bringing inconsistency to your deck by forcing you to have a larger deck size, but it is bringing much more consistency because it doubles your card draws and lets you filter which ones you do the most.
So like your mulligans are going to be worse. Like this makes things like tarots worse, or characters that like are really trying to mulligan for a card, but you will, over the course of the game, by the end of the game, you're probably more likely to have found the card you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. And this is actually, now it's coming back to me. I did use this in a standalone game that we streamed on Twitch, twitch.tv/optimalplay to catch those streams. I played a Mandy deck that I believe was called 94 Card Hell. And I think the title said like parenthetically, what the fuck, or something like that. I don't remember the exact title. I'll link it in the comment or in the description to this video because it was fun. But yeah, it used Forced Learning and 2 Versatiles and everything else on top of a 50 card Mandy deck to end up with 94 total cards.
Wow.
It was a little bit effective. I would not call it one of the better decks that I've played with, especially as far as Seekers go. But it was fun.
Speaking of Mandy, both Mandy and Min can play Survivor cards that you don't mind being discarded. So I think this is a really good fit for either of them if you're going to be playing like Winging It, and maybe some of those skill cards that you can commit from the discard pile. I would love to see a Seeker Survivor that's like, hey, I get to draw 2 cards, and there's no downside because, like, discarding one is fine.
I hadn't thought about that. If you're running red cards, discarding can be an upside. And Yeah, so it's actually this can fill a similar role to Short Supply, right?
Mhm.
Which is the red purchase at deck creation card that just throws 10 cards in your discard pile, which I think after having played a campaign with Kyle playing Bob and running Short Supply, I still think that card is incredible. Probably better than this, but they both.
Well, Ashcan Pete could run both. If you could do a really discard heavy Ashcan Pete deck.
Oh wow! Any of the Dunwich investigators can run all 5 of these.
Yeah. But really, the Dunwich ones, for these two, you would want to have access to lots of secret cards or lots of survivor cards. So I think it would be Ashcan.
That would make sense. Yeah. Interesting. Okay, I'll have to circle back to him and try it. I still love these. I still love these pro and con, changing kind of the way you approach deck building cards that we're seeing in this cycle. Very cool.
Yeah, totally.
Next is Jeremiah Kirby, who I'm pretty sure I recognize his face. Is that Jeremy Zwern?
I was gonna say this definitely looks like it's based on a real person. Like I just feel like the cards are more specific when they're based on real like FFG employees.
Yes,
and probably Jeremy. Yeah,
probably yeah. So he's a designer of various LCGs and currently, or for the last few cycles, has been working on Arkham as well. So cool to see him memorialized in the game, assuming we're correct. This is him. It is so Jeremiah Kirby, the Arctic archaeologist, that's kind of a mouthful, is a 4 resource cost level 0 survivor seeker card. I can talk. He's an ally, Miskatonic, and Wayfarer. You get +1 intellect. It's a good start. And then as a reaction ability, after Jeremiah Kirby enters play, choose even or odd. Reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Draw each card with a cost that matches the chosen option. Shuffle the remaining cards into your deck. And he's got 2 health, 1 sanity. And I guess I didn't say, he sits in your ally slot. What do you think?
So at 4 cost with an intellect icon, like you instantly think of Dr. Milan. And I think probably most of the time the consistent money all game is a little stronger than a one-time effect.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to see. I can't think of very many other allies that have stat boosts on them, but just have a one-time enters play effect.
Yeah.
Usually they have a triggered ability or an ongoing ability along with their stat boost. Because the once per game makes me think of the especially Seeker has a lot of allies with no name tags, right? That are research librarian, those kinds of things that you just play, get their benefit, let them soak for you, and then probably play something else in your ally slot. This straddles those 2 roles in a weird way that I don't quite know what to do with.
Yeah, but I mean, if you are playing like a Seeker deck that uses Calling in Favors to like cycle between different like Seeker ally effects, could be good. And maybe you play this one at the end. After you're done cycling through, you play this one at the end to get the static boost.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So, would you ever consider trying to build like an almost entirely even or entirely odd deck just so that this draws as many as 5 cards?
It's probably not powerful enough to like, if there was an odd card that I really wanted, I don't think I would not include it because of this one card. But, it probably has like a slight impact,
Yeah, I think it's... I've never gone down that road. I don't know what archetypes your deck could have with all even cards or all odd cards. I do think that maybe I would approach this probably not that way, but more as if you play this in the mid game, there's probably a card that you're hoping for, a card that you need and then haven't drawn yet, and so you decide whether you're going to name even or odd based on what's that one card that you want to make sure to draw.
Yeah.
And then my main other thought is this is like filtered drawing that can't hit weaknesses, which is always nice.
True. I guess it also can't hit skill cards, right? They're neither even or odd.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because they don't have a cost of 0; they have no cost.
Yeah.
So I guess I'd agree. If your deck has a lot of skill cards, this is not too appealing. Okay.
All right. Next, we've got Written in the Stars. So 1 cost insight event, wild icon, fast, play only during your turn. Discard the top card of your deck. If that card is a weakness, shuffle it back into your deck. Otherwise, for the remainder of your turn, while that card is in your discard pile, commit it to each eligible skill test you perform. So, if you're Norman and you have a skill card on top, this is fantastic.
This seems like exclusively a Norman card to me, right? Unless you're really using like Scroll of Secrets to put skill cards from the bottom of your deck onto the top just so you can play Written in the Stars, but I don't really see that being something you would do very much. So yeah, it seems like absolutely you use this with Norman because you know what the top card of your deck will be.
It is an insight, so Joe can play it for free. So if you have lots of cards with good icons, maybe you just hope to get lucky. But
yeah, I don't think you would, though. I think you use this with Norman to pull off a triple Eureka turn or a triple deduction turn or something like that. And that actually sounds great.
Yes.
This is probably an amazing Norman card.
Yeah.
And it's only a Norman card, which is fine. I like it, though.
Yep, definitely.
All right, we are, well, with the caveat that we're going to come to the unidentified card at the end, we're already to level up Seeker cards. There's so few level 0 cards in this box compared to the cycles we're used to. It's weird. But we've got Hiking Boots. It's a 2-cost level 1 Seeker asset. It's item, clothing, and finally our second piece of footwear. So like the track shoes, it says limit 1 footwear per investigator. And like the track shoes, it gives you +1 agility. As a reaction after the last clue is discovered from your location, exhaust Hiking Boots. Move to a connecting location with at least 1 clue or to a connecting unrevealed location. This seems pretty good to me.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a Norman card. This is a Monterey Jack card, at least as far as the Edge of the Earth goes.
Right, Monterey Jack is the investigator that can play this
he likes
from Edge.
Agility and moving, so...
Yeah, he gets rewarded for moving. This is probably a no-brainer in his deck. I love that a lot of the time Seeker cards have trouble letting you move into unrevealed locations. Or just investigator cards in general don't do a lot of like... Go ahead and move forward with your game into the unrevealed locations for free. So this fills I think that's really valuable because a lot of the time when you're done getting clues, that's the next thing you need to do is go to the next location no one's been to yet.
Although wait, doesn't the Seeker card that moves you all the way across the map, don't you pick an unrevealed location for that?
Oh, I guess it does.
So I think I think they have some of both.
Yeah, maybe Seeker, maybe I'm thinking of...
Maybe thinking of Rogue, actually.
Yeah, Rogue and Mystic when they get multi-move cards. Maybe that's kind of a weakness to their movement compression that Seekers don't share. But either way, the fact that's legal. And it's funny because it can actually let you move to locations that might not have clues. Right? Because they could have 0 clues and this still lets you go there. Yeah. Automatic, probably some of the first experience I spent with Monterey Jack. Cool.
Next up is a 5-cost 1 XP event. Join the Caravan. Insight and Synergy. Fast. Play only during your turn. Reduce the cost of this card by 1 for each different class among cards you control. Move to any revealed location. So... You were just saying it's harder to move to unrevealed, and
that's true.
Supports that.
The true journey is when we take in our minds. That's I don't know. I think that I feel like this campaign is about a pretty literal journey.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is another reduce the cost card. So it's a very Seeker take on Synergy, right? Because Seeker has those expensive cards where you reduce the cost.
So if you get this down to 2, it's basically that Rogue card.
Elusive,
yeah. Though I guess it doesn't disengage.
It doesn't disengage, right? But doesn't Elusive also say you have to move to an empty location or a location with no enemies?
Maybe.
It has some other limiter that this doesn't have. All in all, I haven't thought very highly of Synergy, that it's not particularly worth building around, and I think this doesn't change anything for me there. But if I did, if mid-campaign I am paying attention and I'm like, most of the time I do, because I've gotten these other multi-class cards, I do tend to have, 4 classes in play. I would look at it like, at that point, it's a pretty strong card.
Yeah, I think 2 or less, it's a good card.
Yeah, it's just... I guess part of the reason I think I like this one better than some other Synergy cards is that it's a late game effect. Right. To me, the weakest thing about these synergy cards is they do so little early in the game. They're just terrible early draws because you're not going to have a tableau built with all these classes in play yet. But moving to any revealed location isn't good in the early game anyway. So like that's fine. That synergy tempo isn't a limiter to the value of this effect in the same way it is on some other cards.
It's also worth knowing this is practically free in Joe because he's generally going to have both Seeker and Guardian down like very quickly, and then that makes this 1 because it's already -2 for Joe.
Oh, if you're playing it out of his hunch deck.
Yes.
Good
And then
point.
if you have an Enchanted Blade, then you have a Mystic, and it's literally free. But I think at 1, this is also amazing.
The one thing is Joe does get an extra action to play his hunch, right? Am I remembering that right? Or is it just
no,
at a
I don't
discount?
think so.
Oh,
It's just a
okay.
discount.
It's been a little while since I played Joe. I was thinking that fast cards wasted his
No,
bonus,
I think
but...
he loves fast because it's like if they're not fast, some turns you don't have the action to play that your insight. But if they're fast, it's like why not?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'm sold on this for Joe. That makes sense. Cool.
Next up, or wait, did I do the last one?
I think you did the last one. But that means I'm stuck with a pretty boring one. It is Survey the Area. It's practiced and expert traded, a skill card, level 1. While Survey the Area is in your hand or committed to a skill test, it gains intellect icons equal to your agility and agility icons equal to your intellect. They won't believe you if you don't capture it on film. Hell, they probably still won't believe you. So we've seen these in every class so far. I have maybe raised my opinion on them a little bit because if they're giving you a skill card that's giving you 3 or 4 icons is just pretty damn good and maybe closer than I gave it credit for at first to it being like you automatically succeed. Obviously it's not quite as good because you could auto fail, but for one experience, like something that says you succeed on everything but auto fail, which can be how this plays out, like it's not bad. It's boring though.
I think it's better than the other ones because of Amanda and Practice Makes Perfect. Like the fact that Seeker is more likely to use this card multiple times. So like if you're Amanda, for example, and you have an enemy, it gives you agility to evade that enemy and then intellect to investigate twice.
This doesn't work with Amanda though, right? Or well, it does if you find it with Practice Makes Perfect, but it doesn't work as a card placed under her.
Oh, really?
It has no icons unless it's in your hand or committed to a skill test, and tucked underneath Amanda is neither.
That's sad.
It's a very weird quirk to the way these cards are written.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now I don't like this card.
Yeah, I don't know why that first part of the sentence is there. It should just say, this gains icons equal. Like, it should just have them all the time. I don't know what the purpose of writing it this way is.
Yeah, I think they were trying to be very specific, but then they ended up leaving out like an important use case.
Yeah. I've always been a little baffled about why that is because Amanda's all about skill cards. Let her play with the cool new skill cards.
Definitely.
But nope, none of them work for her.
Oh, sad. Next up, we got a core set card, I think, but the upgraded version, Medical Text level 2. It's 2 cost, item and tome. For an action, choose an investigator location and test intellect 2. If you succeed, heal 1 damage from that investigator. 2 damage instead if you succeed by 2 or more. If you fail, you must either exhaust medical text or deal 1 damage to that investigator.
Using hand slots on a healing card, this seems like its effect is strong. It can heal 2 damage per action, and it doesn't have a consequence for failure as long as you, or basically the first time you fail on it in a turn, you just exhaust it rather than have to deal damage. I just don't know who spends their hand slots on.
I think this is a card that Daisy takes if her teammates have a lot of physical trauma, or if she has a lot of physical trauma.
Yeah, I guess.
Like, because it's an XP card, so you don't have to take it for the first scenario. So it's like, this is a get out of jail sort of card if your team is getting a lot of physical trauma over the course of the campaign.
Yeah, it's something you spend your experience on to kind of troubleshoot what's been going wrong.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I can see that.
Well, and also physical trauma is nice because it means that even if you draw this turn 1, you have something to heal.
No. True, but are you really going to spend your turn 1 playing this and activating it?
I'd say Daisy.
Better things to do.
Daisy doesn't spend an action on it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Even so, I think she has better things to do in the first turn. Tomes that help her look for cards from her deck.
Yeah, she's dying. Things like Innsmouth, remember, there's like a lot of like unavoidable damage. So like if you have a lot of physical trauma, you kind of gotta deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this card has a place, but it doesn't have a lot of places.
Yeah.
This is another familiar card, Unearth the Ancients. This is a 0 resource cost level 2 Seeker event. It's an insight, and it says investigate. Choose up to 2 Seeker assets in your hand. The difficulty of the skill test is equal to the combined cost of the chosen assets. If you succeed, put the chosen assets into play one at a time. For each relic asset put into play by this ability, draw 1 card. So this was a card. Unearth the Ancients first came in the Forgotten Age cycle, I think, with Ursula, right? Because she has a focus on relics that ended up, I think, not being that core to the way she plays or why she's good. But this is pretty interesting. It's almost Guardian-like in that it lets you compress the actions of playing assets, right? Which is a very Guardian thing to do.
But it actually feels rogue to me because it's very go big or go home. Like, do you want to try to put out 10 cost of assets, but like have this incredibly hard skill test?
Right.
That's something that maybe if you have a lot of like rogue skill cards, like, quick thinking, and if everyone's going to dump a bunch of cards into this test and get a bunch of benefits,
right,
then maybe you are good with like putting out 10 cost of assets with it.
Yeah, if you say so. That does sound fun. That seems like a real gamble of a way to frame your strategy and to spend your team's resources. I mean, in a general sense, their cards and everything. The fact that this can draw up to 2 cards too, if you do play relics with it, is pretty cool. And I'm not wrong on this, right? You also get a clue from your location if you succeed?
Yes, because it does not say instead.
Yeah.
That's what you're looking for. Like anytime it's investigate and doesn't say instead, you
right. Get a clue. So you're potentially playing 2 assets for free, drawing up to 2 cards, discovering a clue. Like the payoff is big.
Yep.
Interesting. I like it, and I think it's more likely to be something I'll toy around with than the original, just because it's so splashy when it works, and I like those kinds of cards.
Definitely. Next, we got Scientific Theory, a 0 cost, 3 XP Composure. So we've seen these in all the classes so far. It's fast. You get +1 intellect, +1 fight. Non-direct damage and horror must be assigned to Scientific Theory before it can be assigned to the investigator. And as a fast action, you can spend a resource to boost intellect or fight. And this gives 1 health and 3 sanity.
Have you played with any of these new composures yet?
Yeah, I played. I put the new Grounded in a Diana deck that was nearing the end of Forgotten Age. It's pretty solid. I mean, I feel like even if it just boosts you for a couple of tests and gives you a little soak, because it's fast, it feels pretty good.
Yeah, I think these are really strong. I completely agree. Like, to me, this feels fine if it lasts 2 rounds. If it boosts your stats, 1 card giving you +1 to anywhere from 2 to 6 tests, that feels good on its own. And then it also soaks.
Yeah.
Even if the first thing it soaks defeats it, like it still soaked something. Yeah. Like that's an upside, and you can spend your resources on further boosts. I found that I didn't use much. I just kind of liked the passive stat boosts on them.
It's all the right stats and the right soak for Joe. Like this seems like a really strong Joe card.
Yes, agreed. I was just thinking, like, who wants the intellect and the fight? Like this, compared to some of the other composures, I was going to say this is not that appealing a combination of stats.
The 3 XP means that Randall can't take it.
Who?
The Corset Guardian. What's his name?
Roland. Yeah. Right, it's just outside of his reach. Yeah, he's another one who would like to have it. I think these are consistently just very strong, kind of boring, but just workhorse cards that are well worth the experience in my in what I've found so far. Cool. Oh boy, we got the level 5 card in Seeker. It is a 4-cost asset called Profana?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Atlas of the Unknowable. Oh, another Atlas. There's been a couple in this box. It's an item, a relic, a tome, and it takes up a hand slot. It says, while you are not at the locus, you gain +1 intellect, +1 agility, and you may ignore attacks of opportunity. As a reaction after it enters play, choose a revealed location. That location is the locus until Profana leaves play. Action, move any investigator to the locus. Whoa! I already thought that this was a this was a weird card reading it. Like, it gives you a boost when you're at any except for one location. But then the fact that this can move for the Seeker's action, move anyone to that location, that's something we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
What do you do with this? Like, what? This all sounds very good, but why do you think you would spend 5 experience on this, Keith? Do you have any ideas?
I mean, yeah, it's definitely something you need to play around with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, stat boosts are good, but you want more than that for 5 XP. Move is really good.
Monterey Jack, and obviously these are all kind of quote unquote his cards. Monterey Jack, this is his stats, and also his ability triggers, like, he gets both halves of his ability if he ends at least 2 locations away from where he started. This is a way to repeatedly do that for one action, right? Which is cool.
The other thing I was thinking is, like, some min decks kind of are designed around being able to do, like, not really have to move much. Like, because obviously she can commit skill cards with her signature, and there's various secret cards that let you investigate at places that aren't your own. So, like, a min could just kind of chill and not be at the locus, send everyone else to the locus, but still be kind of helping out the team.
Right. Yeah, it does seem like a good min card for that style too. I think one of the most interesting use cases to me, and this is not common, like, there's no campaign that does this over and over, but there are sometimes, like, boss fights where the boss doesn't leave a location, and so what you end up kind of doing is dancing in and out of that location, right? So that it doesn't, like, massively attack everyone every turn. So this can let the Seeker just stand back because maybe they weren't that helpful in the fight anyway, and just use their own actions to help everyone get in and get to fight more before they have to bail.
That's true. I mean, I feel like anytime you can use your actions to save another person in action, that's often super effective, because maybe you're not that important at this moment in time, and giving someone else an extra action is super useful. Yeah.
The weird thing about that to me is that the location where that's happening is probably revealed right at the end of the game. So what are you doing with this in the meantime? You probably just hold on to it for until that comes up. Or I guess you could name, I'm thinking like Blood on the Altar, for example, is I think the first scenario that I can remember that has that type of fight. I guess you could name the locus somewhere else and use it to pull people out.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. That might even be better. Cool. Very, very cool design. I think
we got one more, the Unidentified.
We sure do. Yeah, let's not get into final thoughts yet. Oh no, and I've made a mess of the cards in front of me. That's fine. What's the Unidentified one look like?
All right, so this is the Archive of Conduits. It's a 2-cost asset. Item, tome, and occult. Limit 1 per deck. As an additional cost to play this asset, place 1 resource on 4 different locations as ley lines.
Cool.
After you successfully investigate a location with a ley line, exhaust this asset. Move that ley line onto this asset. Then, if there are 4 ley lines on it, discard it. Take its ley lines as resources and record in your campaign log that you have identified the gateway.
Ooh. Okay, it's a neat little mini game almost, right? You have to set up 4 targets and successfully investigate each one. It did not. We only have 1 copy of these, so I don't have it in front of me. It did not say instead of discovering clues?
Correct.
Okay.
So you are getting resources, but you had to spend 2 resources in action to play this, so it's not terribly useful on its own.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you're primarily playing this for the resources, right? You're clearly identifying it so you can get to its upgrades. But the fact that it does, when you succeed, pay for itself seems pretty good. Some of these cards, when what you have to do to research them doesn't end up like helping you forward in that scenario where you did it at all, and this one does.
They always give you something, but sometimes it's pretty weak.
I mean, I don't think they always do, right?
I'm pretty sure
like,
they always give
Strange
you
Solution doesn't.
No, it does not like draw you a card or something. They all give you something.
Maybe. The cursed one just takes the curses back out of the bag that you had to put in to get it there, right?
Well, you might have put in the curses for a different reason or something.
Sure, yeah. Okay, well, I do think the whole reason you run this is for the upgrades, so let's take a look at one. The Archive of Conduit's Gateway to Paradise. Now it costs 4 resources, and it's a level 4 Seeker asset. It has become a ritual that takes an arcane slot instead of a tome that takes a hand slot. Interesting. It has the keyword researched.
Is that me? I think
that new?
Finally added a keyword for upgraded unidentified cards, maybe?
That seems super smart, because then in retrospect, cards like Shrewd Analysis could just have referred to that keyword.
I hope that if they're doing this now, that when they re-release Stun Edge, which is coming out soon, that they'll put it in all the future ones.
I bet they will. As they do almost the second edition of each campaign, the repackaging they're doing, that makes perfect sense. I bet that's the plan. But anyway, this one uses 4 ley lines. That makes sense since we collected them. Limit 1 per deck. And then fast ability, move 1 ley line from this asset to an investigator. And then as an action, choose an investigator with a ley line. That investigator draws 1 card and heals 1 damage or horror. You may remove the ley line to have them instead draw 2 cards and heal 2 damage or 2 horror. Okay, so this is the first one of these we've looked at, but I assume that they'll be fairly symmetrical in how they work. It gives you 4 of these ley lines so you can't okay, so there's no cost to transferring them, basically. So you can just hand them out at the beginning, and then that makes them, so it's pretty easy. Like, everyone's a target for this ability, and then they all have like a one-time, you can consume the ley line to double the ability. And then nothing is stopping you in a less than 4-player game from doing it multiple times, right? Use up the ley line, I can heal you, use up your ley line, then just hand you another one and do it again.
Yep.
Yeah, in low player counts, the ley lines, it seems like plenty to make this really, really good. Okay, I mean, there was a healing one. I'm gonna guess that there's like a damage one and so on. Like, give us another upgrade.
Yeah, so I have here the Gateway to Astron. These are all gonna be 4 cost 4 XP.
Yep.
This one, also 4 ley lines, 1 per deck. You can also spend a fast action to move a ley line. But from this asset to a revealed location.
It works pretty differently then. Okay.
And then as an action, choose an investigator and a revealed location with a ley line. That investigator moves to that location. You may remove the ley line to have them take an investigate action.
Wild. There's a lot of moving into the space of moving your allies around with the secret cards in this box. That's pretty cool. Okay, let's just keep reading, and then we'll debrief at the end. We've got the Gateway to Tindalos, which uses 4 ley lines. It can move 1 ley line from this asset to a non-elite enemy. And then as an action, choose an investigator and an enemy with a ley line at a revealed location. That investigator moves to that location, and then you may remove the ley line to deal 1 damage to that enemy. Okay, it's a little bit like the last one, except the enemies can move, so like the targets it can move to also move. That's a little brain bending. Give us the last one.
Yeah, so this one also, this is Gateway to Aldebaran. This one also gets moved, the ley lines get moved to non-elite enemies, and as an action, choose an investigator and engage with an enemy with a ley line. That investigator disengages from that enemy and moves to a connecting location. You may remove the ley line to automatically evade that enemy, and this does not provoke attacks of opportunity.
Okay, so it kind of covers, and I'm noticing now that each one has a different one of the 4 skills as its icons, right? So they kind of correspond with like the 4 things, the 4 things in the game. I don't know if that actually holds up to scrutiny. Let's move on. How do you like these?
They're all pretty strong. I mean, I feel like movement is really good. So, and arcane slots don't matter to most of the characters that would take this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like they're all pretty strong.
I think they do seem very good, and also I love the design of these. I love the way it makes you think about the space on the map.
Yep.
For the most, not all of them do. The healing one just hands ley lines to players and ignores locations, but a lot of these really make the team's positioning and planning ahead, putting the ley lines on the location. Well, I guess you can put a ley line on a location right before you need it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really makes the connections in the space of the map matter on another level that is super cool.
Now, do you think when you upgrade to these, are you going to use Shrewd Analysis, or are you going to pick?
Well, so I wanted to double check what you thought. Can you have 2 different ones of these in your deck? It says limit 1 per deck, but they do all have different subtitles.
I think that I think you can have 2 different ones, but not 2 the same.
That would make sense to me. Because otherwise Shrewd Analysis is just not a thing. Would I do it on here? I tend to always use Shrewd Analysis because it's fun. So, I mean, I think the answer is yes. Is it a good play? Probably not. I don't think that these all make sense for... These are not so... What am I saying? They're not universally useful.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you don't have someone who is kind of trying to dance around enemies and evade them and stuff, I don't know that the one that lets you help that person evade is... I don't know, does that make it more or less appealing? Maybe it's my brain is breaking in half here. Do you want the one that has disengaging from enemies and evasion if you are playing an evade heavy strategy, or if you are not playing an evade heavy strategy to shore up that like weakness in your abilities?
I think whether you deck build to like play to your strengths or to mitigate your weaknesses is always one of the great questions in deck building games.
There's a lot to think about here. I don't think that I'm going to have too much that's particularly insightful to add here until I just start thinking about them as I upgrade my decks and playing them. I know I'm eager to try Monterey Jack, and so this will certainly, like, the level 0 is definitely going in that deck. I'm definitely going to upgrade this, and we're going to see how it does. I have flipped through the Edge of the Earth campaign book. We haven't played it yet. We're planning to get in a game after recording some videos on today. The maps look big. I don't know if you've noticed that. But there are a lot of locations in the box, and the maps look really big. So the moving people around and choosing locations that are more focal is probably really valuable in the campaign, I'd guess.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I'm excited. Okay, I think this box has been really hit or miss so far, at least on a class by class basis. I think I felt really high on some of the classes, and like the survivor cards, despite loving Bob, I remember maybe just because I just edited that video as of the time we're recording this, but we were not that high on those cards. I think I'm pretty high on this set though. I think that Seekers really made out with a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, I agree. There's some fun ones here.
It's like there's a couple, there's the boring kind of cycles that, it has the skill card that just looks at your stats and adds them together, and those things that we're seeing throughout the box. And those, like, I don't find exciting, but pretty much all the other cards seem strong and or fun in a way that I'm excited about.
And we discussed like 4 or 5 different characters that could use some of these, so it's not too focused on just one character. So.
Right, yeah. Some of them definitely seem like Monterey Jack cards, and other ones that like deal with combat and stuff. I don't think that's the way I would build Jack. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to try these in a variety of decks, no doubt. Cool. Well, thank you, Steven, for talking more cards with me. Thank you for watching. We'll be back soonish. Probably still in our... Are we recording another one now? Still being
sure.
This video is probably coming in February. We'll record the one for March. Still in our Christmas sweaters. You can look forward to that. Till then, be optimal.